So the creator of Royale High went live last night, dropping a ton of bombshells as to updates that are coming to the game that players have been requesting for forever. And we're going to talk about it because there is some discourse around this coming up on Twitter specifically of people saying it's awfully coincidental timing that they're all of a sudden releasing these big updates when a massive competitor is set to release around the same time. Now, I want to give you a massive shout out to Misa because they sent me a lot of the content for this video. There was a couple tickets I got, but Misa sent me basically all the information that I'm using for the update portion of this video, so props to them. And on top of that, in the later part of the video, we're going to talk about some of the discourse on Twitter specifically of people saying that they think it's awfully suspicious that Royale High is all of a sudden releasing updates that players have been wanting. And we'll get into that in a second here. But regardless, for those of you that don't know, NightBarbie, the creator of Royale High, actually went live kind of showcasing updates for the first time in a very, very long time. I can't even remember the last time I heard that she went live, and to be fair, I'm not super on top of that stuff all the time because, you know, I touch grass sometimes. No, I'm just kidding. But regardless, it's been a long time since she went live, and the time where she went live actually correlated to nighttime for a lot of the people who play Royale High. So a lot of people didn't actually have an opportunity to tune into the stream. I did watch the stream briefly, but I had to go to bed. I was tired, guys. I'm gonna be so for real. And so as a result, some people actually watched the full stream and made notes, which includes Misa here, and they sent them to me. So these notes read, Wickery Cliff is coming back to Royale High for part 2 of their Royal Ween update. If you guys know Wickery Cliffs is, which is such a hard thing for me to say for some reason, but it's basically a really efficient way to farm candies, and something that a lot of people have criticized Royale High for recently and in recent months has been that they've taken out a lot of the farming methods, and Wickery Cliffs is one of the best way to farm limited time candies for the Halloween events to buy Halloween specific items. So a lot of players are super excited this is going to be coming back because they've been asking for this for a very long time, and I'd heard nothing about it, and then all of a sudden Barbie's like, oh yeah, it's coming back, guys, don't even worry about it, which is interesting. We'll get into that later. Now on top of that, Misa did put in some like a list of lots of things, so we're just gonna go through it and I'll put it on the screen for you guys. They're thinking about adding wheelchairs, which I didn't see this portion of the stream and I couldn't really find much information about this, but if that is the case, isn't it awfully coincidental that MonsterVerze has ramps and elevators and accessibility stuff in their game, and all of a sudden Royale High's like, after years of existing, you know what? Oh my god, I just thought of this. We should maybe add some representation for people who maybe aren't necessarily able-bodied. Like, it's like a new thing. This has been something that players have been asking for a long time. I do think it's an interesting coincidence that all of a sudden now, during this random Halloween update, they're like, oh my god, maybe we might just add that. Interesting to me, but we'll get into that later. Now on top of that, Misa goes on to say, new dedicated roleplay realms, which I think is great. I would hope that they maybe eventually might make roleplay realms that have less textures or are very like condensed versions of the game with maybe less graphics and stuff like that. Because my goodness, again, I told this to you guys in my last video, but I tried to play Royale High on my iPad and I thought my iPad was going to take off. I was scared I was going to go flying into the sky. This is a new iPad, okay? And it's not a cheap iPad. So I was like, oh, okay. On top of that, they go on to say, new roleplay classroom with customizable desks and lockers and sleepover towers. So this is an image that I found online, and I will credit whoever I found this from. But this is an image of what Misa's talking about. On top of that, Fiancé, I think is how you say that, was on the hunt for the old truck. So I guess there's an old truck that players really liked, and they left a little note in the stream, which I did see that part, asking if anybody knew where it was. On top of that, Barbie looks out for the emo people who need quieter spots in the map. I don't quite know what this means, I'm gonna be honest. I guess maybe she's just expanding the map in certain areas, and I don't know. Then they go on to say there's new badges, which I did see that. I'll put some screenshots of those on the screen. Potential outdoor camping realm inspired by the Falling Leaves Festival campfire. I think that'd be super cool, especially for role-playing, because at the end of the day, I feel like there is some pretty limited areas for role-playing in Royale High. Although it's a beautiful map, it's nice to have some other, you know, scenes and stuff like that for people who make roleplay content on YouTube specifically. On top of that, old coffee cabin potentially will be brought back, summer camp ideas, inspiration for Campus 3 minigames, whimsy witch sleeves finally coming. I believe I own this set on like my childhood account. And I remember this has been such a point of contention. And people be like, when are we getting the sleeves? When are we getting them? And apparently the sleeves are coming out as part of like the maze, because the Halloween maze is being brought back. And so that's how you're going to be able to get them, which is interesting. Keep in mind, this update's still up in the air, so this could change. Now, on top of that, Avrilla and Chrome are mesh but not formatted, basically finished. So this is, I guess, referring to the big dolls. The only dolls that they have at my local Walmart is the Avrilla doll. And I've thought about getting it, but I was like searching up, what does the set look like? And I couldn't find it. And I realized like after like 20 minutes of looking, oh, it's not in the game yet. And I felt kind of stupid. But to be fair, I feel like if you release a doll with a toy code, the code in the game should be ready to be used. You know what I mean? Like, because players might think, oh, I didn't get it, and they might think it's broken. I feel like that just causes more issues than it would to just wait and hold off on posting that. But anyways, apparently there's a set coming out for that. And if the set is pretty, I'll be going and buying a couple of them from Walmart because nobody wants them. There's that. If there was the mermaid one there, oh my god, I'd buy that so fast. But nobody really wants the dark fairy. I think she looks kind of scary, honestly. Maybe that's why, I don't know. On top of that, they go on to say that Materials Pass might come to dress up, more makeup slots, many improvements through about potential new dorm items. They've been tirelessly working on toys, which, this section, I'm gonna get a little bit controversial here. Brace yourself. They've been working on new toys, have they? Have they perhaps had a chance to work on the masculine bodies, maybe? Just wondering. Because I'm hearing a lot about money, this makes me money, this makes me money, this makes me money. And not a lot about representation and listening to the community and, you know, having, you know, somewhat realistic body types. Boom, 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 boom. Where is it? And, you know, this is something we discussed previously, and a speculation I have is that if a game wanted to, they would. Okay? And, you know, I think it's great they're making toys, and obviously they have to make money, I understand that. But you already have a bunch of toys, and at least at my local Walmart, maybe it's different elsewhere, but there's a ton of surplus of these toys. They're just sitting there on the shelves, and it looks like there's always a ton of them. I always go and there's like a ton of the same dolls sitting there, and so maybe it's different in other places and they're completely sold out, they need more products and stuff like that, which I think it's good to stay on top of your toy production. But it's like, you can spend so much effort and time making dolls, which is great. Can you not, but also like use some of that time to, you know, fix these issues with the male body types in Royale High that a lot of players have been discussing? Or maybe, revolutionary idea, create some more, oh my god, jump scare, plus size bodies. Oh my god, guys, what are we gonna do? Like, I just don't understand games' resistance to creating somewhat realistic body types and a variety of them. I know specifically with MonsterVerze, Roblox can be kind of iffy about these body types, which we've learned, and I have another video coming out about another game that's been impacted by that. Which I understand, like, you might not necessarily want to make a ton of body types because for lack of better terms, the bigger the body, typically the bigger the size of the hips or the chest area. And that's typically the way people will scale these body types. And so I understand that it could be difficult with Roblox moderation, but I also feel like they also don't have to be stick thin. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's a balance between the two. And honestly, obviously they're working hard and I can appreciate that, but this has been like a point of contention for a very long time now. And I feel like maybe, just maybe, if we're making new toys, we could also take some time and fix the male bodies and add some more representation. But that's just my 2 cents. Maybe I'm delusional, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just being greedy. God forbid. But anyways, then this person goes on to say that they work out the toys. Barbie will hopefully stream more as she works. Blah, blah, blah. There's moon phases might come to the mermaid shop. So that's like a visual aspect. Wickery Cliffs fountain is just for show. There's no wishing in Wickery Cliffs, which is interesting. And then basically just a bunch of these other stuff. Queen Harmony set might come soon. Snow Globe Summit might make a return. Redone cheer things. I'll be honest, I haven't played Royale High in a bit. I've been trying to get back into it. I really have, but the game, like, there's some issue with the UI, and someone's like, oh, Roblox was down. No, like, the UI is messed up. I tried playing it on my iPad, doesn't work. I have a full gaming PC. This is like a $4,000 gaming PC. It is not cheap, okay? And I try to play Royale High, and it's like my character is, like, moving in slow-mo. And, like, I try to open menus, and it won't let me close other ones because the Halloween UI is, like, covering the X button. And there's obviously, like, a scaling issue. And it's tricky to get back into it when it feels like there's so many bugs and it makes it really difficult. And also I feel like it isn't very like beginner friendly, which obviously I knew how to play Royale High, right? But there's been some updates and pretty significant changes, especially with the new school and stuff like that. So it gets confusing for people who used to play the game to get back into it when it's like, literally I was like, where's my locker? And I was just very confused and having a hard time. And it was difficult and I felt like a complete noob, which was annoying. And I think for most people that would deter them from actually trying to play Royale High. So I hope that they'll fix this. Hopefully, maybe at the same time that they're maybe doing male mask bodies, who knows? And then on top of that, Misa talked about bug bugs considered in stream. So I guess what this means is that she was considering fixing them, or she had mentioned them, I guess. And it says rainy day classroom song repeating, transformation necklace has been fixed, bugs with dorm material game pass, halo rotation in dorms is weird, fallen fey wings and other transparent items reset when a fabric is put on, other minor bug fixes. And yeah. So thank you so much to Misa for sharing this with me. Now on to the juicy part. So we have all these updates, all these exciting things coming to the game, and some bug fixes, which I'm a firm believer, fix the bugs before you add more stuff. Because like, as you add more stuff, you know, if there's bugs, it just becomes like a whole mess. It's very messy. Let's do one thing at a time. But as soon as this was announced in the live stream, a lot of people were saying, hey, this is awfully suspicious, because MonsterVerze, which is another highly anticipated game on Roblox, which is set to release, I think the date might be pushed back. I'm not sure, okay? So I'm gonna put that out there. Wait, actually, I could just pull it up here, because I'm on my Discord. Let me see. Oh, there's an update. They're delaying the countdown to the, oh my god. I'm recording that after this. We're gonna read this with you guys. But a lot of people are accusing Royale High of trying to, I don't know the word for this, but like piggyback off of MonsterVerze's anticipation, because MonsterVerze is like a school roleplay type game, but it has PvP and other aspects, and a lot of players are very quick to be like, oh, Royale High copy, which I've spoken about before. Just because a game is a school does not mean that it's a Royale High copy. Also, Royale High didn't invent the concept of dress-up games or school games, so regardless, a lot of people are speculating that they're trying to kind of piggyback off of the anticipation for MonsterVerze, and that was why they all of a sudden announced this, you know, update in correlation with when MonsterVerze was supposed to be released, which I've started to learn like 2 seconds ago. It has been delayed, and we'll make a video about that right after this. But I definitely do think that, you know, competition does create creativity, if that makes sense. When you have competition, it really pushes you to go outside of your comfort zone and try harder and to push yourself to your absolute limits, right? And I'm sure people have realized that even with making YouTube content, when you have example other creators, which earlier today, some massive creator took screenshots out of my video and didn't credit me, and then I have to comment. They didn't say anything. Anyways, you know, like when you have people like that are competing with you or that are making similar content and stuff like that, it really does encourage you to try your absolute best and to try and think outside the box and be unique and stuff like that, right? And what I think is happening here in my speculation is that with Royale High, you know, noticing that their player base is going back down after this mermaid update, which it has been, and then maybe they hear about, oh, this game is highly anticipated and it's kind of similar to our game a little bit, it might have similar players. It kind of pushes them to do more updates, because before they didn't really have that much competition, and now with these other games coming out, there is that competition, and they're almost, I don't want to say competing for players, because players can play multiple games, but they're competing for playtime. I guess I could say that, because players will play whatever games they want regardless, but the amount of time they spend in those games depends on how much time or stuff there is to do in those games. So example, if you're in Royale High, there's no way to farm candies aside from like the fall festival, which is incredibly laggy on my iPad, but aside from that, right, if there isn't any other way to farm candies, they're not going to spend much time in the game because it doesn't feel very rewarding, and they're just going to leave and then go play something else. But if you bring back Wickery Cliffs, which people have been bugging for forever, right, and there's always ways to farm, and there's like a maze you can do to get these sleeves and stuff like that, it's going to encourage players to spend more time in your game, which in turn will make your game more money and will kind of put your game at the forefront of players' minds, okay? And I think that's what's happening here. I don't think they're necessarily trying to sabotage MonsterVerze, because I've heard people saying, oh, they're probably the reason MonsterVerze got banned. Ma'am, we know Roblox plays favorites, but I don't think that's the case. I really don't. Like, genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, I don't think that's the case. But I do think that their choice to do updates and to bring back some highly anticipated community features, I would believe, and what I'm led to believe, is that it probably does correlate with the fact that MonsterVerze is going to be releasing soon, and they kind of recognize that, hey, this is going to be like a game that, you know, could potentially become competition for us. Not like direct competition where only one could exist, but, you know, it competes for players' attention spans, and I think they recognize that, and that may be why they're all of a sudden announcing these updates when we really hadn't heard much at all. But anyways, that was just this video. Thank you so much to Misa for sharing this content with me. And again, shameless plug, if you guys do want to share video content ideas with me, you can do so in my Discord server. And now, just as I finish this, I gotta go record another video about the new date for the release. I don't know why I didn't get a notification about that, because I have it turned on, but anyways, that's so sad. But yeah, that's what I have to say about this. Let me know your thoughts on the update in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys next time.